Oh, yeah. It's starting to canoe.
You want to fix that?
Good to see you, man.
Yeah.
Long time.
Too. Yeah. It's good.
I'm glad you could make it out.
It's been a while since I've been able to road trip out here. So.
Yeah. It's been more time that we've seen each other, but we're there's a little bit of time in between there.
Yeah. It's not that we didn't see each other. It's just we didn't see each other to do this in this location.
That's right. That's right. At this time. Yeah, this is time. Yeah. That's because we are always highly motivated. We're doing things, getting things done.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For the family involvement and stuff.
Yeah, it's a thing. Yeah, it's a thing.
It takes over some of the time.
Yep. What are we toking today? Oh, this is mine.
This is yours.
This is Dreadnought OG. Also got a little bit of red Congolese mixed into this as well. Actually, it's a really, really good toke. The red Congolese, in fairness, is one of those strains that I would like to keep my hands on for a very long time. I believe it's a land race, and every time I've had my hands on, oh, it's such a good smoke. It's so good. I ended up getting wife got a bunch of edibles, and there was a freebie tossed in there, and it was this red Congolese hash.
Oh, really?
Yeah, or I guess not hash, keef.
Okay.
And it was so good. Yeah, so good. But yeah, so this is the Dreadnought OG. This is by a Ocean Grown. Yep, it's a fan favorite. It's pretty much what's on tap around here quite often. It's kind of like a home brew, if you will. That's what we got around here.
That's exciting. I like the house line idea. I'm working on that with the store right now. Trying to get us some stuff just to have some, well priced, decent quality, consistency.
Yeah,
stuff.
And this is the stuff that you can come back and guarantee on every time.
I'm trying to make sure it's around and all that stuff. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I'd like to do that too, and get my name on something. Kind of low key. I've got my own breeding project on the go. I have found the one half of my project. Now I need to find the other half to complete it. And I'm really excited to get into it because like I kind of said, it's like I want to have my own blend. I want to have something where people can come into, can always guarantee it's going to have that consistent flavor, that same effect. It's going to look appealing. Because, I do have a YouTube presence and an Instagram presence. I do need it to look pretty a little bit, even though my trim job.
It has to be camera ready.
Just a little. Just a little. I will admit, though, it's like, the stuff you see online, it's just sometimes it's way blown out of proportion. I see like the Twitter weed where it's like, what would you call this? And like the colors of it are just so manipulated where it's like one's extreme green, one's crazy purple, one's black almost.
It's very edited.
It's like, hey, come on, man. Yeah, it's not even real.
Yeah.
There is really real beautiful herb out there. You know what I mean? You don't have to fake it, but not everybody has access to the good stuff, I guess.
I don't know. Weird motivational points.
Yeah. Yeah, right. Killing time when getting high too. That's like an ever-changing thing with today's world. What are some things you do once you get high? What are some of your favorite things to do when you're high?
The pastimes or get high and do things?
Yeah. Other than yard work, because very clearly you and I are guys who like to get high and do yard work and tinker and do things. I guess not other than that, but
I mean, it's most social activity things in general anyways. It's like everybody else watching a movie and stuff, but like playing board games. One of my favorite things to do. Getting high, laugh your face off, play some board games, there's some music playing in the background, everybody's just talking shit, having fun. That's great. Outside things outside from like yard work, but if you're like, hiking or riding or doing whatever, all that is just way more fun.
Hell yeah.
Doing there. Yeah.
Hell yeah. Board games, bro. You introduced me or my family and I onto Catan. Your wife and you play Catan, and I don't know if you guys have ever seen it, but it's a pretty cool game. Fun. It's like a settlement game, if you will. You kind of got to build a settlements and
Resource management.
yeah. You've got resources. You got to build roads and build cabins and what have you, and you kind of got to take. It's kind of like a Risk-esque in terms of like you got to take over the map, and it is a lot of fun, and that's probably one of the. Actually, it's something that we do so much that even my boy is like hooked. Like when
We
we're
got him
coming
hooked
over.
early. That's
Yep.
the nice thing about that game is like you can really a smart kid can pick it up pretty early because it's nothing crazy. The ambiguity of maybe some of the more tactful play obviously isn't going to be his thing, but it's just you still partake and it's still a lot of fun. And I love kicking his butt. It's great. Yeah.
Oh man, it's so much fun.
As long as he loses every time I come over, I'm happy. Yeah.
And we blaze and blaze and blaze. Oh my gosh, it's such a great game to play when you're high too. Even with friends, like socializing with friends, playing with friends. Great idea.
That's stuff like doing also, like playing Mario Kart or Mario Party.
Yeah.
Like those more social games. We have that one for the PS3, the Knowledge is Power.
Right.
Yeah,
we played that one.
Yeah.
I
That's
like
a
that
frequent
one.
at my place too. That one's a lot of fun. You play off like phones and stuff. But any of those things that you can still be involved with everybody and the banter between everybody and everything too. I think that's what makes that stuff
For
more
sure.
fun.
Like get some charades or some
Yeah.
Pictionary going.
Yeah.
Man, yeah, especially when you're when you get a nice fry going on too, man. That's fun. Yeah, that's fun. Yeah, I like to get outside. You know, I do like to tinker with things. Like we said, that doesn't count. But getting outside and just like being one with nature, whether that's getting out for a bike ride. I like to walk the
Sports,
dogs.
though, in general, as I'm wearing a jersey, not thinking about this, but when I was playing a lot of rec league and stuff, like always smoking before games. It's the best way to play is having hoots before.
Yep.
That is one of my favorite things. Running when I do running in general, I always smoke before. Even when I work out, I smoke before because it's a lot more fun. It's very common in things like jiu-jitsu and apparently in hockey too, but it's one of those
hush. Yeah.
As is the NHL in general.
Yeah, jiu-jitsu is huge because when I go to Vegas, we stop by the High Rollers Jiu-Jitsu, and it's essentially just that. It's a jiu-jitsu league or organization that is in heavy promotion of cannabis, and they, the fighters come out and they're smoking a huge doobie. They hand the huge doobie to their opponent. Their opponent takes a huge hoot. They hand it to the referee. The referee takes a huge hoot, and then they have at her, man, and like going into these places, and they're like sponsored by like Dr. Dabber and what have you. So there's dab bars, and
that's so cool.
Yeah, you just go up and they'll just serve you some hoots, and man, the whole place is just heavy haze of smoke. It's crazy that the cameras pick up as much as they do, to be quite honest with you, when it comes to getting the footage of these fighters, because
with the amount of haze in there,
the amount of haze is just there's so much smoke. But it is such an experience. It is so much fun to be a part of that, watching those guys go at it, and like they're the most humble guys, they're blazing herb and
going at
doing
it.
what they love, in a sport that they love. It's a lot. It's really cool.
It's going to be neat to see cannabis work its way more and more into sport on a public scale. Like we know it's there in a lot of places. The amount of NFL players that get suspended for cannabis, right? Like it's not like they're not using it.
Oh, it's definitely there. It's just it's, like you said, hush hush.
Yeah, and so as that grows, look at the gambling thing here in Canada with sports right before hockey games or whatever, and there's even pushback now on the other side because it's so out there and crazy. All these things are inevitable. They'll find a good spot to rein it in or whatever, but it's coming with cannabis. It's inevitable, and we'll get to see these sponsorship deals, and it'll get out there a lot more.
Yeah, it's definitely hush hush still. Like you hear the UFC, you got guys like what's his name, Nate Diaz. The Diaz brothers are both very open about their use of cannabis, CBD in particular, right after their fights to help with the inflammation and of being impacted and hit and so on and so forth. It's a legitimate you know, it's a legitimate.
But I think
option.
that's why, like I said, I love doing it when I'm getting into activities like running or for playing soccer or bike rides and stuff. When you get to zone into something in particular, cannabis is just great for that.
Yeah,
It's great for putting yourself in a zone and getting more out of your body. And you know, I know there's a lot of that view where it's just lazy on the couch, but it's like a motivated person using it. It is an additive because you can just zone in and push through things. That's why, like I said, I like even on a regular workout, it's more fun to be smoking first because it's just you get to have that kick in effect. Like, yes, I'm doing this.
That's right.
Like that inner motivation just like comes out.
Yeah, it's good to be in the right mindset before you're gonna plow into something like this. Yeah, 100% it is. Yeah, I totally agree.
Yeah, even like golfing, I like smoking the whole time. I used to like drink more when I golfed, and now I find that less and less. It's mostly for the hydration, and I'm like smoking the whole time or what have you. Like that's great too. Like because all of your swings are really smooth. My body feels great the whole time.
Yeah, right.
And I'm not drunk off my ass. I'm just like I can pay attention for enough time to like swing the club. That's fine. That's effective.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't need anything past that.
Nope. Yeah, I remember.
Like you play like rec baseball and stuff.
Oh yeah.
You're obviously smoking.
Always. Yeah, the whole time. Yeah, blazing the whole time. You come back to the dugout, blaze up, and then you head back out, and beer in one hand, joint in the other, and put your beer down, put your glove on.
Right.
Finish the joint. Ready for the ball. Yeah. That's the way to do it.
As a adult rec league, you should.
Yes.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. I remember one time I was watching a guy, or I was talking to a guy, or no, it was a streamer online once, and he was mentioning how he's going to go white water rafting. Rafting. No, white water rafting.
Water rafting.
Yep.
Yeah.
And I was like, "Oh, I hope you're gonna get high, man, because like this is gonna be fun." And his response was, I can't smoke weed before this, man. I want to be aware, I want to be safe, and I want to be conscious of what's going on. I don't want to be high." And to me, I'm thinking, bro, like that's not the way to go about it, man. Like if it was me, I would get so high, and I like to the point where it's like, yeah, I can still function and save a life if I have to, but I'm in this for like the experience, and I just want to like, wow, that seems way more fun than like being scared.
I find
anxious.
The inability to get high at something prevents me from going to things.
Right.
Like if I don't get to participate in this like that, then I'm like, I don't give a shit.
Nah, I don't want to go.
Yeah, not for me. For me.
No thanks. Appreciate it. No thanks.
Yeah.
It's like a lot of these. Honestly, it's like a lot of these cannabis events. There's so many of them out there that you can't even smoke at.
Right.
And I'm like, what kind of cannabis event is this if you can't smoke at it? And it's like, sure, maybe we can't smoke indoors, but why isn't there a dedicated smoking section outside?
There's a lot of the issues. I mean, again, have a liquor event. Mm-hmm. I went to a dinner thing for the liquor commission here once. That the whole dinner it was like a wine thing. So each course had like 4 or 5 different already pre-poured glasses of wine. Oh. So you get to try. Like you had it was like. Yeah, or maybe even more. I think there was like 5 or 6 options depending on the course. And like, so there was quite a bit of wine. And I'm like, this is crazy. Like that this whole event, and we've got government members doing speeches and stuff. We got these tickets through friends. And I was like, it was such a weird situation because then you go, we're not allowed to do anything for cannabis. Like they, this one rep from Canmart actually put together this really good community bud tender thing called Token Tuesday, and they had all of the reps put up booths in this place in the city, and so all bud tenders were invited. They had to have their registration to get into the event, and it was great because a lot of that interaction between the growers and the bud tenders doesn't get to happen directly. Mm-hmm. And so it was a nice option for that. But they tried to do a sample thing with that. Well, you're not allowed to do samples. So instead of being able to get samples directly from people, um, alternative methods were used. It's crazy that it had to be avoided.
Yep.
That the fact that you're not allowing that to happen. I'm like, I went and sat through a dinner with, rich people dressed up and getting drunk off their face, and that's totally cool.
Yeah, you can get samples in the liquor store.
Right. And drinking and driving is such an issue. How do you think you got there?
Like if you played your cards right, based on how many liquor marts or liquor stores you have in your town,
yeah,
you could have a pretty good night.
Yeah,
just
go driving around.
Alcohol.
Yeah,
I'd be like, what kind of rum do you have?
Yeah,
I'm trying to choose which one. I'm looking for something a little spicy. What kind of spice rum do you have? Let me sample those 3, please. And then you go to the next one. Do the same thing.
Yeah.
So it's what a double standard.
Yeah, it's a weird situation.
It is a weird stipulation.
Go ahead. I was just gonna say, like, it's the same thing as being able to partake at going to a game, like going to stadiums and stuff, and it's totally cool to drink. And I would just like the option, like, I get the smoking in public spaces thing, like public health stuff.
Yeah, it's an issue.
That's one of the things, but like, then it's easily resolved with other offerings that are very readily available. There's no reason you can't buy fast-acting gummies and the beverages at a vendor at Canada Life Center.
Sure.
Or whatever.
Or open it up so that there's a consumption lounge.
Or at least have that space.
Or an open area, outside, whatever.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to even be outside. It goes just a patio.
Yeah.
And make it so that at least people have an option to go. But there isn't. There just isn't those options. There was a few events I've been to. Like we went to when I went to LA, went to Green Street Music Festival. It was the first one ever, if I'm not mistaken, the first annual. And it was awesome. It was an incredible experience. And there was places to smoke everywhere. And nothing indoors per se, but and whether you were allowed to or not, there was plenty of like porches and balconies and just spaces where you could go and consume the product. And that's awesome. Yeah, that's awesome. Because like I said, if you don't, people are just going to find another means to do it.
It's one of the things that doesn't allow this industry to generate extra revenue is because, the worry that if you open that up, that, people aren't going to buy cannabis from retail stores because they'll be going out and buying it is kind of crazy, because liquor stores do okay. Beer vendors do pretty okay. They're on every corner. They're doing fine. People still consume at home. It's just having the ability to do things in these adult public spaces.
Right.
Would be like, you have the beer gardens at festivals or something, and you can't have the other side of it too.
Yeah.
It would make so much sense.
Right.
The money, there's a company that'll sponsor it. Just
of
like
course
there's always a company that sponsors the alcohol one. Right.
There always is. Somebody will get their name on that, and it'll probably be a cannabis company.
Right. Yeah. A big grower would just handle it. No problem.
Yeah.
They'll be very happy to take that opportunity. So
yep.
It's not for will. It's just because of regulation.
That's it. It. There's plenty of people that would like to participate in the system. Just can't. Just can't, because it's a crazy system, man. It's a crazy system that we have right here.
Well, I mean, like, look at the testing. With that's a big conversation. Like, Health Canada is taking a big hit on that right now.
I heard. Yeah,
not having any form of real standardized testing when it comes to plants, which is incredibly valid. There's such a range of THC percentages coming out, and it's really hard to play the validation game because everybody's playing under such different rules. I've had some conversations, and I really want to take an opportunity to even try to see if we can take some stuff to get tested. And
I've been tested. I'm clean.
You're clean, yeah. Well, I just buy some retail stuff and then go get it tested.
Bro, I'd like to test my own stuff for a
doing
multitude of reasons. Forget about the fact that I'm a consumer that would like to know what I'm buying from someone else.
Yeah.
I'm consuming my own product. I know what's going into my system to a point. I would really like to know, and that's with my own stuff. So, yeah, to hear that there is such a struggle for testing in this country, and like I saw it on Twitter. I saw it on Twitter. Yeah, I didn't mean to cut you off if you weren't done.
No.
I had seen it on Twitter where somebody had gotten like 5 or 6 different strains tested, everything being like 28+%.
Oh.
And pretty much every sample, I think except for one, was well under the percent that was listed on the label. And we're not talking 1, 2, 3, 4, 5%. We're talking 10, 12,
Right.
15% differences.
And that's, I think there's no, to my understanding, like humidity plays a big part in where this is going to get, how things get tested out like that. So if you don't standardize that, then how do you ever expect results to be consistent?
They can't be. And like, I don't know. Yes, humidity does play an effect. The degradation of trichomes is going to occur as the longer you have something stored, the more it's processed or handled, bopped, dropped, rolled. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, they're volatile. But for like, everybody's known that like 30% THC. Like, you're telling me 30% of that plant makeup is THC?
Well, see, there's some things that, because with my limited biochemistry knowledge, there are some labs that I know of, like in Winnipeg, for instance. The type of testing they do is they take the entire sample, dissolve it into a medium, and then test that. So there's no this part of the plant, that part of the plant. There's no moisture issues, all that other stuff. They're getting all that information. They have mass spectrometers that they're using to be able to fucking check everything that's in that test sample. And I go, that makes sense to me, right? Maybe now if you're telling me that also added the percentage humidity that it's allowed to be tested at as well too, on top of that, if that makes a big difference, how about the scientist? I don't know. But, just something like that versus a lot of the other methods that are done is, it's way more effective. Like I go, that makes sense. There's no tricking anything there. That's what we should be doing across the board. I don't understand why that's not there. And so seeing the fact that I know that they've been able to test stuff at those kind of numbers, and I'm like, okay, so if I'm going to buy into their testing methods, and again, because there's no standardization, there is quite a variety in how it gets done, then I got to believe the number. And I've had that conversation recently because a new grower came into the province and they were talking about their numbers, and I went, smells like shit, because the percentages. And I talked to somebody that had got some of it tested, and the numbers came back from this lab that I'm on the side of at not quite as high, but I think it dropped.
But reasonable.
It was 3 or 4% that it dropped. And I'm like, oh no. Like, really? And that messed with me a bit, because there's so much conversation right now about the fact that it's basically impossible to do those things. And now we're seeing that it's happening, and we're seeing, and again, there's a lot of gaming, but
thank you for saying that part, because this is where my limited knowledge of science and vast knowledge of fraud and corruption comes in. Because I'm thinking like, are these testing facilities third party, or are these testing facilities funded and or owned by the very same labs that are getting their stuff tested by?
Yeah.
And so let's assume, and again, no regulation, no standardization. There is no, let's just take off 5% because we know it's going to degrade. Why would they? It's right now it's testing 36. Why would I say it's going to be 34 if it might actually be 35 when the client gets it?
I think that there's got to be a standard deviation of whatever's in the package anyways. You were dealing with a natural degrading product. This isn't a canned good. This is a perishable.
Yep.
And so you have to take that into account. So I'm willing to have the number tell me, and then I get to play like, sometimes that might have gone up depending on where in the cure and stuff, right? Like there's kind of an argument that you could have it happen in that direction.
I wish we had an issue of people testing their product and it coming out high.
Yeah,
you know what
I'm
you
just trying to. Yeah,
I know.
Yeah,
I know. But the
Yeah.
thing is like it
It's
just
not,
seems
it's the
to
other
be
way.
a very consistent. Like when
Yeah.
you're telling me, I wish I had this study, and maybe when I'm editing this, I can put it together and show the piece of paper. Doubt it, but if you were to look it up, like of the like 15, yeah, if the 15 samples or 10 samples they had, and all of them were not just like you said, I'm willing to give a 2 to 5%
right.
deviation, hopefully up, but chances are it's down, right? I'm willing to give it that much. But to have a 10-15%,
That's way too much.
That's there's a if there is no malice or no ill intent involved, there's a problem with the system.
Yeah.
Something's happening along the line that needs to be addressed.
These are the safety issues.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. If
Yeah,
you're that's bringing up safety issues when and not to mention, you've got people with like really, really high, in some cases terminal illnesses that are going to rely on particular, cannabinoids to give them the effects that they need. In particular cancer. We know that cannabis really works well for those that are suffering from the negative side effects of chemo. As like an anti-nauseating medication.
Yeah.
An anti-nausea medication. And so, that you're going to want to make sure that you're getting a THC and not a CBD, and if it's going to be a THC, like I'm not sure what the science is. Is it the high THC that gives it to you? Is it the blend between CBD or THC? But you're going to want to know what you're getting,
Right.
at the end of the day. So,
Right.
yeah, I think it's frustrating. But I'm not willing to believe, and maybe it's my cynical ass, but I am not willing to believe that it is a 3 to 5% deviation because of degradation of a product. I'm not willing to say everybody's out for shady it. Like, I'm not saying everybody's doing people dirty.
Yeah.
But I'm willing to bet that is happening. But I'm leaning towards there's a problem in the process where either product is drying out, product is exposed to UV or sunlight in some way that's ruined, that's degrading it.
I think I've seen enough like commercial legal grows, micro and commercial now. There are standards in which are set, but there's the methods in which things are done can also be done in a different, which is great because that's how we get the different quality weed depending on grower methods and everything, right? Which is awesome. But I think that also comes into play too. A sample goes into a lab. Well, it's being tested. That stuff's being stored somewhere. How that company chooses to store the room, the air exchange, if they're using tubs, the size of the tubs, the amount that they're burping them, all that kind of stuff is going to change to where by the time that product gets into somebody's hands from when it was tested, right? Like there's honestly, in a lot of cases, can be a month plus. Big companies, it's month plus before that gets into somebody's hands, right? So it's wow. I don't know.
Yeah, and how do you avoid that?
How do you avoid that?
Maybe you send your test.
It's the positives of the micros, right? Smaller guys get their stuff out sooner,
Yep.
so you're getting fresher product. That's the positives of dealing with where you throw your dollar.
Mm-hmm.
But
that's important.
Yeah.
It's always important. Yeah, I don't know. I've always been. I'm very skeptical about numbers. I've always known that like the number that it says doesn't necessarily mean that's the number that you got because they didn't sample your bud.
No.
Because if they did, you don't want it. Because somebody fucked it up. So it was that, but it ain't anymore. But so it's like they didn't sample your bud. In fact, they probably didn't even sample your plant. You know what I mean?
Very
like
likely.
in a lot of these cases, like I know if I was sampling, like I'm sending a portion of the plant of 1 or 2 or 3 or 6 or 10 of 100 plants. Because you're not sending a bud of every one plant.
Right.
And even if you are you sending it to the top part, the middle part, the bottom part, at what point? So,
and then what are you getting?
Right.
Yeah,
Right. And
yeah.
what part did you get?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. It's definitely a question. Yeah, I just think it's slightly exaggerated. You know, I remember back in 2000 and was it 15? There was a cannabis cup in Barcelona, Spain, and that's where the first like 30%, 35% came out. And I remember the uproar, like, what? No way. How did that happen? What's going on? And it's like, have we capped it out? Do you think we're at the, like, of course, if you want concentrate, you can get a 99.9%. Well, can you? I don't know.
I had the
But
argument made to me that, like,
90% plus.
right, like, I had the argument made with plant, like, off the plant THC numbers, that yeah, they should be going up, because the expectation of what THC percentages could get to weren't done with the dollar and push behind it that is there now. It wasn't, right? Like,
No. Or the science, the research, the
we've
funding,
the label
legality.
has unfortunately given the weed an information bias for customers to buy off of, and it's THC percentages for the most part. So how do you that until you take that was never available to anybody before, right? There was never
Nope.
an option. You just, the Ziploc bag, you got it in. But now that that's there, it's unavoidable. So I think, like we're saying, it's about leveling that playing field as much as possible to be able to judge the product on that. And I don't think it's level right now.
Right. Well, and
The
you're right.
testing
and
and
you're-
testing, anyways.
Sorry, excuse me. You're right in terms of like an information bias on THC, because we have an episode that, for those of you that watched that couldn't hear, they you know, and then we talked about, was it all about THC? Well, up until 19 or even 2000, and yeah, it was. It was
Yeah.
all about THC, because we had figured out, well, actually, I retract that a little bit, because post or pre 1930s, there was a medical need for cannabis. There was not necessarily a medical need, but a use for, people were using it. And then we quit using it. And then we just kind of figured out again that, like, the THC is the part that gets you high. And then it was like, oh shit, well, let's see if we can get higher and higher and higher and higher.
It's crazy what happens if you look into something too.
Right.
Right.
That's it.
Yeah.
But we're looking into only one portion of it, because we have no science, we have no research, we've got no government funding. Shit, it's not even legal, in almost everywhere. So it's like, as we've progressed, it's like, as we've allowed funding, as we've allowed more money and more time.
It's where the money's coming from. This isn't the information on all these cannabinoids, this isolation of these cannabinoids and put into oils and capsules and gummies for people or whatever it is. These things weren't being done by the underground, right? There were hobby guys or whatever it was. Like, I mean, they're fairly large movements within themselves there. But there was no average access to everybody.
No.
It just wasn't. There was times you just couldn't get weed. I remember as a teenager
Yeah.
and stuff, right?
Yeah.
Like, it just wasn't. There was a bust.
September.
You can't
October,
get it.
done.
Yeah, right. It's hard to get, and now the prices are going up and all that stuff. It's like we have a country where we're producing way too much weed, and are half of these growers even going to survive? All this other stuff, because we're growing so much of it.
Yeah.
It's a totally different situation now, and I just don't think you can compare it.
No, it is a totally different system, and there's a lot more freedom now to try to get more information. We're starting to realize that, wait a second, what's this thing called CBD?
Yeah, what is this?
And then wait a second.
Yeah.
Yes. Wait, there's more. There's
and
100?
these are companies that are developing products for consumer goods.
Yep.
That's where the drive has come into this. Where from the time I opened my store to now, in this very short amount of time of legalization here in Canada in general, we've gone from the most basic of product offerings to specialized things. One of the things with our laws here is, like, we're not allowed to talk about medicinal purposes of things. Products are specifically designed for that now. It's almost impossible not to have some form of conversation about that, right? You can't have something called night oil and go, what is that for? Right? Like, it's just, you're having trouble sleeping? Here you go. Right? Like
Yep. Yep.
and it's both great for the bud tender and being able to know what they're giving to people and having good spots to be able to base their offerings off of. But it's so much more specific than we ever had. And it's because of the fact that there's a lot of people that buy this stuff now. So many more people are consuming cannabis than they were pre-legalization. Way more people are consuming. The amount of people that are coming in and doing the first time try is and off of stuff that they wouldn't have had access to otherwise.
It's a diverse amount of people. You have people of all walks of life. You got the soccer moms, you got the working dads, you've got the the hiding it still, you've got the grandparents coming in. You've got they call it the cannabis curious, which I think is a horrible term. But
sounds creepy.
It is. It does. Yeah. Welcome.
Yeah.
But like you've got people that can't just roll a joint with a pack of zigzags and smoke it. You know, you need people.
But that's what that's again the wonder of the edible or whatever. Grab a chocolate, or gummy, and just pop in, pop out, have a great day, enjoy your walk today.
Exactly.
That kind of thing. And I've heard a lot about the fact that testing edibles is very tough. Producing them in a consistent manner is already tough and takes generally some pretty high-end stuff, and there's even been some inconsistencies found within some big companies of being able to, like, people go, well, I'll just split it in half, and I go, oh, what if the concentrate in that part of the batch wasn't evenly distributed, was on that one half? One of you's getting nothing, one of you's getting it all, right? Like that. That type of food production in general, or like candy production, it's not an easy thing to create that type of consistency, and let alone do it with something that's also supposed to give you the same effect consistently. This isn't like a regular pharmaceutical drug. It doesn't operate in that manner. Right. So it's hard to deal with it. So it's just finding ways. I'm for anything that creates more legitimacy and makes everybody else more comfortable with what's going on here. And I like the testing's like the thing where it's at, where we've got to have ways that is reliable across the board, across the country, whichever province you're in BC, you're in Manitoba, you're in Newfoundland, the stuff that you're getting, if you're visiting somebody, if you smoke mid-20s or you like a sub 20, whatever it is, you can buy it. It's consistent. Feel it there. And then that's the terpene gain comes in.
Yep. I had that conversation about, it's like McDonald's has figured out to make a Big Mac in Wisconsin, a Big Mac in Toronto.
In Tokyo.
In Australia.
Right.
Like, when you say when it's like edibles are so inconsistent to measure, I think it's the exact same way for the plant.
Yeah, I think it's impossible that it can't be. Yeah,
because I just feel like it's like, unless you are stripping all the trichomes off, putting those trichomes in a pill, you know what I mean?
Unless it's a concentrate, it's
very tough to get that perfect amount, that the right amount or measurement, I guess, is what you're looking for, because it's going to be everywhere.
Right.
That you had said something which led to me, that the Big Mac debate. Do you think, because like this is the Cookies brand. You ever heard of the Cookies brand? Yeah. And
I've been on the internet before.
Oh, you have?
Yeah, it comes up.
Good. It comes up. Anyways, I'm actually a huge fan of the Cookies brand. I'm actually a huge fan of Burner, and people are very surprised by this, because I'm a home grower, and this is a guy that's working the system. He's a hustler. He's an entrepreneur, and he's trying to create it. And don't get me wrong, you can't even say it's his product, but that's not the point. My point is that this is a guy who's trying to create a product that is in New York, Los Angeles, New Orleans, Vegas. He's trying to create it so that you've got these same products from side, like, and people's biggest complaint is that the product is shit, and it's like, well, he doesn't have that control over the New Orleans, Wisconsin, LA, Vegas, but can he? Should he? Is he going to be able to get to a point where you can create a Gary Payton, or you can get that red Congolese, or you can get that same consistent? Because I believe you can. It's just a matter of who's growing it, by what means, where, and then how are they distributing that product to its people. Because I think once you perfect those, then you have a viable conversation about creating a very consistent product that'll be the same everywhere around.
Yeah, at least from the retail standpoint.
And I think you can do it. And so what brought me onto the burner conversation is that he's a brand that's trying to do that across the country, but I think if anyone's going to figure it out, it's going to be him. And I'm not saying that he should just get a pass for shitty weed around the country. No, I don't think so. But if anyone's going to figure it out, it's going to be him. So there's a lot of hustle, there's a lot of things that happen behind the scenes in order to get your brand, your name, and spread awareness for this product in a way that Nike does for shoes. They don't just make shoes, but it's just like, Cookies is gonna make weed international. It's gonna make it something that's marketable, advertisable, it's something that you can monetize, present to somebody of all walks and say, this is what it is, this is what we can do. I think it's possible. Especially
in the US, as soon as they federally deal with it.
Well, that's that regulation we were talking, right? And getting that consistent, getting a level playing field. Where it's like, at least everybody's doing this to ensure that your product is at least this. I think it's possible.
That's the issue that is really like in Canada right now. There's a lot of great stuff. It went from like there's nothing to like, oh, there's a few really great things and then a bunch of crap, and then there was like, oh, the general quality overall has gone up, and now it's like hard to argue over finding bad stuff. It's crazy, the push, because everybody knows everybody's pushing their game up and everybody's pushing percentages up and quality up, and it is a question of what do you want to use, like who do you want to go with, and then it becomes branding and relationships and stuff that start to matter more, or who customers are asking you about, and that just like every other product. I know we can't do these things right now, but you can't tell me it's not coming. You can't tell me it's an inevitable thing.
Of course,
so it has to be. And again, if brands are going to grow, they're going to grow just like everything else does. They're going to grow through branding. Like they're going to grow through people caring about product, being able to trust product, and having consistency, where they see that logo and they go, I'm getting that, and it doesn't matter where I am, and I'm going to feel good about it.
And
we're so used to that.
That's it.
In North America. That experience, like you were talking about, especially with fast food, right? Like, and then the really great micros get to continue to fill out all the edges of wonderful product. Like, it's not those things that grow, and in those cases, those are a lot of small grows that are going into those batches and stuff. I mean, how they procure it and for the dollars, where their priorities are there will change the quality that they get into stuff. Of course. But again, the U.S. market's so different how they procure stuff down there. So
inconsistent,
yeah.
But hopeful for the future. For the future. It has to get better.
Right? I mean, I think that's one of the things is we're up here in Canada talking about how do we get the testing to be ubiquitous across the country? How do we keep this consistent? How do we get these numbers to be, even if we don't like them per se, how do we feel better about them on a wide range basis, right? And down in the U.S., it's still
legal.
It's still illegal.
So many places.
There's still a long road to go there before they fix it. They're either going to catch up really quick, or
they will.
It'll take some time.
I think when it goes, it's going to go, because there's so much industry just bubbling under the surface.
Yeah, like we're talking consumption spaces. There's a lack of revenue streams that are just in there. There are bars. There are all of these things. Wine, paint nights, that type of stuff.
Oh,
being able to properly do those things legally. Yeah.
Hell of a conversation, man.
Another fun one.
That was good. No, it was good. If there's anything you guys want to add to the conversation, please feel free to add to the comment section. I know we talk about a lot around here. It's kind of how we do. Nothing's off the table around here.
Getting high and chatting.
That's what it is. Getting high and chatting. Yeah, it's highly motivated. Don't forget to check out highlymotivatedproductions.ca. That's where you can find all of our tags to all of our social medias. and you can keep up with all the latest content. But that's Chris. I'm Pigeons. Thank you guys for watching. We're out.
Have a good one.
Peace.